Hello everyone, Colin Canet here for Woodwork Web. Guess what? We've got a guest in the workshop today. This is Dash. Dash is not my dog. He's a family dog, but we're going to be making a little bed for Dash. Aren't we, Dash? That's what we're going to be doing today, so stick around and see what we do to make a bed for Dash. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm going to be building today, this is what it's going to look like. These corners are going to be rounded a bit like that, and it's just to discourage the dog from chewing the corners so much. A little bit of an entrance in. I want to lift the whole thing off the floor just so it gives it a little bit more of a design effect, but also so that you can clean underneath it, and that's what we're going to be building today. So the plywood is a little bit too wide for my miter gauge on my table saw here, so I'm going to use my sled. It's safer and it's more accurate. While I'm at the table saw, I might as well cut this into strips too. They happen to be 3.5 inches wide. The first thing I need to do is to figure out what the base is. So I've just got this scrap piece of wood that is almost 2 inches, and that's perfect for giving me the size of the kick in here. So I'm just going to put that all the way around there. And these two shorter ones would be the inside pieces. So there's those pieces, and the next thing I need to do is put them together. And I think what I'm going to do, because I want this to look nice, you could drive nails or screws through there and put a bit of glue in here. I think what I'll do in this case, you could use pocket holes, but this is pine. It's a little bit weak for pocket holes. I've had pocket holes strip in there. So what I'm going to do instead, I think in this case I'm going to use my doweling jig and just put, I think I'll put 3 dowels in each side. Won't take long to do, and then we'll glue it and it'll be nice and strong. Okay, I've just changed the configuration of my dowel max so that I can do these face drillings, and you just line it up with your finger. You don't have to do anything special. You know, your finger, if you were to put a hair from your head on there, you can actually feel that. So your finger is just fine for measuring that. It can tell you that you're even straight across there. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 holes on each one of these. Oh, and I've also marked, you can see I've put a little red mark on there that indicates so that I always know that that's the top. Now I'm going to do the ends, and I've again lined up. My red spot is down here, and I've lined up that. So we'll do 3 holes. Speed that drill up a little bit. That's better. Okay, let's do a quick dry fit. I've learned the hard way that when you don't do dry fits and things don't line up when you've already glued them, it's not a good thing. So I'm going to put all my red marks on top. I have this little plastic dowel thing that I like to use to make sure the glue is distributed well in all of my holes. It just takes a minute to do it, and it just gives just an insurance to make sure you get a nice tight fit with those dowels. And I like to see it when I see a little bit of glue easing up there. Well, while the base was drying, I went out and selected and trimmed up a little bit of wood that we can use for the top, because now we're going to make the top part of the dog bed. But there's a little bit more to it. So I have this scrap piece of wood here to use as an example. Now, you already know that we're using plywood for the base, and that's a perfect wood for this because it's very stable. It doesn't move one way or another, or very little. And now we're going to put the top part on, but you can see that the plywood is showing through there. So what we want to do, and I've just used this scrap so that you can see, what I want to do is I want to cut a rabbet in there. And what that will do is that will hide the plywood like that. So the next thing I need to do now is to build this base all the way around here, and I want to build it just a little bit bigger than the plywood so that I can route out with my router a rabbet all the way around this top piece. Well, I've got all my boards cut now, but before I start putting them together, I need to cut in this little doorway or little step in, so I'm going to do that right now. What I need to do now is I'm going to be using my doweling jig to do the same as we did on the base. I'm going to be drilling dowels in all of these corners, and because you've already seen that in the base, I'm not going to make you sit all through it again because it's exactly the same procedure. Okay, I've already set the router up and I've done a test cut with it, so I know everything's good. So let's go ahead now and we'll cut this rabbet on the bottom of the upper carcass. We'll plug it in first. Well, now comes the moment of truth, and see if that's going to fit in there. It's right on that side, and it's right on that side, and there's a little bit of play in there, which is what I wanted, so that's good. Okay, I just rounded the corners off a bit. Let's try that. Get some of the sawdust out of there. There we go. Perfect. Well, the little dog bed's coming along quite nicely. But before I go any further, I want to take a moment to ask you, if you haven't already subscribed, we ask you to do that. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. Now, I've painted the base and I painted the inside, and now I'm going to finish the outside and this area on the inside with one of my favorite finishing products, and if you follow me already, you'll know I really like this Osmo product. It's number 3054, and it just gives a really nice finish, easy to use, and it doesn't stink up the the workshop or your house or wherever your workshop is, and it just gives a really nice, easy finish. And we use these little pads with that, and I'll put a link to finishing with Osmo for a video that I did earlier. So let's get started on that. So basically, to use this product, I just put it in a little tray, and typically we go against the grain and we coat the entire area, the entire surface, with these little, sort of a sponge pad thing. And we do the entire thing, and when we get finished, we rub with the grain so that we get a nice even coating. Okay, now we're going to let that sit for 24 hours. We'll give it another coat, and we've got a little surprise for the inside. Well, and here's the surprise. My missus, who's a quilter, made this lovely foam little insert for here, the little mattress. And I'm going to show you a close-up of it. Check that out. Little dog footprint and bones. That's perfect for Dash's mattress. Well, that concludes my video on making the bed for Dash. And we got him a little bit distracted with a treat here right now, but I think he'll lay down later on. So I'm Colin Cadet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.